welcome to episode 7 of Anime and Us. I'm TJ.
And I'm Shawn.
And this is the review show that reviews anime from A to Z, sort of.
So last episode, we spun the wheel for category E. We ended up getting Eden of the East, which is not something I ever heard of.
No, me neither.
Little info on it first. Eden of the East premiered on Fuji TV's time slot on April 9th, 2009. It was created by Kenji Kamiyama. It's a little odd that the first season, which is the only season really, has 11 episodes, but it doesn't really complete the show. The 2 movies complete it. So I wonder if, and there's no way, nothing that I found when I looked it up, whether or not that was planned. It looks like it was planned the way it fits in perfectly. But that is definitely odd. Usually it's just a show or like there's a bonus movie that's just, extra. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean...
It was just odd the way they did it.
I mean, the series does wrap up, kind of, but there's no satisfying ending. Kind of just abruptly, like the movies were like, we wanted to do a full series, but we decided to do 2 movies instead.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is that they didn't want to do any filler. And if throughout the show and the movie, 2 movies, there's absolutely no filler, which is fantastic. So what I'm thinking is, it's not the typical anime series, because usually anime series are 12 episodes-ish, or 25 episodes. And if you watch the 11 episodes, and even if they took the movies and broke them into 22-minute episodes, which is how long an anime episode is, it would not have been anywhere near 25.
Well, no, I was thinking it'd be like 15.
Exactly.
Something.
So I'm thinking they did that on purpose. They stopped it at 11 and then made the movies because they knew it wasn't going to be a typical season. I'm thinking they did it on purpose, but who knows?
I mean, is it not allowed to have 15 episodes?
Yeah, no, because there's some that are, but they're very few. Like, Death Note was like 44 or something like that, or 37. It was something like that. So there are instances where their seasons aren't the typical length, but it's very rare for that to happen. Well, so I thought maybe that was what they were doing.
Perhaps, but this whole show is just strange and surreal in and of itself. So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I feel a few interesting things that I found out is the opening. We were commenting when we watch it about the opening not being like a normal opening. It's usually a Japanese song or some kind like that, but
completely in English.
Yeah, it's by Oasis, of a band. I don't know why they hired Oasis to do it, but...
Yeah, that was odd. Pleasant, but odd.
It was strange. And I found out the guy who did Full Metal Alchemist was behind this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so...
Well, that's probably why I liked it.
I liked it, too. I was really surprised when I found that out. I was like, oh, wow, that makes some sense now. All right, I guess we should get into it, then.
Yeah. Let's start off with the premise. So...
Oh, the premise,
It's a bit odd. So pretty much, there's a guy named Mr. Outside who creates a game. And the game is, there's 11 people.
Well, there's 12 in the
Well, there's 12. But there's 11 people that get a cell phone, and the cell phone has this concierge that's a giant server.
No, there's actually 12 total.
I know,
people.
wait.
Okay.
But there's 11 people.
But it's confusing.
Listen, there's 11 people that get a phone.
I mean, it's confusing watching it, so that's why I was just getting into it. Okay.
There's 11 people that get a phone. And the phone is connected to this gigantic server. And the server,
we don't know it's a server until, like...
Yeah, it sounds like a person, and the way she talks...
Yeah, right.
Sounds pretty human, actually.
And she reacts to the different, people with the phones differently.
Very differently, yeah. I guess it depends on your personality and how you treat her and how you... Anyway, so the 11 different people get 10 billion yen, and they are tasked with saving the country. How they save it is up to them. What they do in between is up to them. But if they ever fall off the track of saving the country, if they ever run out of money, then the 12th person, who is called the supporter, is tasked with killing them. Now, you don't know if you're the supporter unless, I guess, you get tasked with killing someone.
No, what I took from it is that the other 11 don't know who the supporter is.
I don't even think that the 12th person knew if they were the supporter at first.
I'm
sure they figured it out at some point.
No. What I gathered from the end of the show and everything, there wasn't actually...
Yeah, I don't think there ever was a supporter either, so I do think there was actually 12 people.
Yeah, so...
But they didn't tell you that in the beginning.
No,
you sort of had to figure that out on your own.
It was just a driving force.
Yeah.
But from what I understand...
So, like, if you think there's a 12th person out there that's going to kill you if you don't do this, then you're going to do it really well because you don't want to die.
But from what I understood in the beginning, only the guy who created the game and the supporter himself knew who was the supporter. Yes. So the other ones did not know who it was. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't that they could be the supporter; they just didn't know who it was. Mm-hmm. So
So that's pretty much the premise. 11 to 12 people with the phone are trying to save the country in whatever way they see fit. And that's, we start off not knowing any of that. We figure it out within the first 2 or 3 episodes, I think.
Yeah, well, the premise, yes, but the show is a mystery almost up to the end.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Which, I mean, that works. It is the genre is mystery psychological, so you're trying to figure out what's going on the entire time.
You say that, but you know what I found interesting about this? This was the complete opposite of Blue Gender. Blue Gender was sci-fi, romance disguised as a sci-fi. This is a sci-fi disguised as a romance, because the way it opens up and everything. It
has some romantic
elements,
that's for sure.
It has romantic elements, but it is not about the romance at all.
Yeah, no, it's just kind of spiced in there, sprinkled on top.
So I found that really interesting, that they used the romance cover for it, and it's nothing, and it's a strange, surreal show. Yeah,
you know what, though? It was good.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was so good. I really, really liked it.
I watched the whole thing in like one day.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to stop.
I watched almost all of it one day, and I was busy, so I had some other stuff to do. But I would have if I had the time.
Yeah, and I was like, when we started this, because we weren't sure about the first 2 episodes. We weren't sure if we were going to watch the movies, and I was like, I have to watch the movies.
Yeah, especially because at the end of the 11 episodes, it does finish. But it doesn't finish the story, but it does wrap things up to where if they didn't write any more, you could have left it at that.
It finishes in the way that we missed it because we were talking, but the opening dialogue scene talks about him becoming a prince and stuff, and that was a pretty...
Yeah, that's some good foreshadowing, I guess.
Yeah, I actually went back and listened to it because I was confused by the ending at first. And so it does tie up in that thing, but ultimately it was an unsatisfactory ending for a series.
Yeah, definitely. But they did an okay job. Like, if that was it...
It was just abrupt.
It would have brought down my rating if that was the ending of the entire show. But it wasn't, so... No,
it definitely wasn't. I mean, if you're judging it based on that, though, you're right.
The 11 episodes, yeah. You definitely need the movies if you're going to watch this.
Yeah, it's... Because the abrupt ending out of nowhere. It was strange because I was on episode 10 and I'm like, there's one episode left. How are they going to wrap up all these loose ends here? And I'm still reeling from the Blue Gender movie that you didn't watch.
I'm happy I didn't watch it after you told me about it.
It was just a remake, so I figured this isn't going to be anything. And then it turns out to be essential to the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So it was like, it's not, from my experience, anime movies are either remakes of the series or they're set in a parallel time universe.
That means nothing.
Yeah, and this...
You can just throw it out the window and never watch it.
This was refreshing in that aspect.
Yeah. So, I know the movies are also very well done, high quality.
I have a little problem with the movies. They just seem like very extended episodes to me.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking it was the same studio that made it.
Well, no, I got that.
I didn't actually look into it, but I assume it's the same studio.
It's just, it was very well paced throughout the series. But then in the movies, they had to put in a lot of exposition and then put a lot of time with those side characters you really don't care about.
Yeah, I didn't mind the side characters.
No, I mean, were they in the
like Panties? Loved Panties.
Well, we'll get to him. In the series itself, they were spread out nice.
Yeah, in the first few episodes, you meet. Yeah, in the first episode, you meet most of the side characters right up front. But then you hear nothing about them for the next 2 or 3 episodes. And then they come back and you're like, oh yeah, these guys. Forgot about them.
And they're spaced out very well. And that, it's just with a movie, you couldn't really do that. Yeah. So you had long stretches of these characters, and they don't really do anything.
Yeah, they really don't.
So
it's really just Saki and Tachikawa.
Right. So, I mean, it opens very...
It opens by stroking my ego by saying America is the center of the world.
Not even just America, the White House.
It was great.
Yes. And so I guess I'm going to open my book here to the character names because I still don't.
Well, while he's looking that up, a huge tidbit that I really, really liked about this anime is because there's a couple times where they go to America throughout the anime. I think they go once, but in the movies they also go back 2 times, I believe. Either way, the accuracy they have with depicting America is fantastic. Like when they're looking at the toll booth and you see the easy pass with lanes with the no cash and then the cash lane and the lights. All of it was so perfect.
Yeah,
I feel like they came to America and took a shitload of pictures and then went back and use those pictures to make the anime.
Yeah, and there's something I want to mention, and I don't usually mention it because I'm by no means an expert, but this was beautifully drawn.
Yeah, it was very nice.
And I mean, and just
it wasn't flashy. It was just nicely drawn. You know what I mean? Everything was like perfect.
Yeah, but the detail in the background was like, and I am by no means an artist. I mean, the only time I can tell is like the bad CG and what was the last one,
Divergence.
That's you have to be that bad in order to catch me. But this one was really well drawn.
Mm-hmm. Attention to detail was very was there.
Right. All right. So the main character is Akira Takizawa.
I said Tachigawa. Sorry.
It's all right. And Saki Morimi. And it's basically about, well, I was going to say it's about their relationship, but it's not at all.
Yeah, you felt like it was.
In the beginning.
Especially for the first few episodes. It felt like it was all about them and just them loving each other, falling in love or whatever, and then that just didn't happen.
And then it didn't
until the ending, anyway.
And then it come back to the last episode. I was like, okay. I mean, it's still spread out, but it was like a well-paced romance.
I mean, a lot of the show is whatever his name is, him doing things. He's a protagonist. And then she's also the protagonist, though, in the sense that a lot of the show is her following him, trying to catch up to him, trying to find him.
A lot of it is...
Because clearly she's in love with him.
A lot of it's from her perspective.
Yes.
The only time it switches to his perspective is when he's by himself doing his own plot. Mm-hmm. So she essentially is the main protagonist throughout this whole thing.
Yeah.
Because we open with her. It's like she's telling the story, like what the opening dialogue is. Mm-hmm. Because... as of all that. So, yeah, and so she's on tour in America, or that's not what it's called.
On vacation.
She's on vacation after school. She just graduated or something.
Yeah, college. So that it's funny seeing the cultural differences between America and Japan, because she graduates college, and she's still treated like a child, like an infant child. She lives with her sister, I guess, because their parents passed.
Yeah.
And her sister and her sister's husband, who own a bakery. And it's just the way her home life is showed is that she's pretty much like a 16-year-old kid. But she isn't. She's a college graduate.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, even the fact that she's a college graduate is refreshing. And
yeah, it takes it out of the typical 15 coming-of-age story.
Yeah, that's usually put into it. So she's looking at the White House because she wants to make a wish, I guess? Was that what it was?
Yeah, she was trying to... I mean, I get it. It's like a...
Yeah, I know.
She's trying to throw a coin in the fountain and make a wish.
Yeah, I just don't...
But she's... there's a giant gate. You can't get on the fucking White House. Right. That's not happening.
I don't remember what the wish was for or anything.
I don't think it was anything important.
Well, anyway, so she tries it and she throws it and cops come over and ask, what are you throwing stuff at the White House? And then all of a sudden, the other main protagonist, Takizawa, shows up, and he's naked waving a gun.
Which was funny as shit. I don't know why. I think it was the way they were drawing the white, because usually it's a black bar on most things when you use nudity.
Or it's blurred.
But it was this white, fuzzy bubble they put around his junk. It was so funny.
And it's
his cavalier attitude about it.
And I think it's only one of 3 nudity scenes in the entire series.
Yeah, there's not many, and they were all dudes.
Yeah.
Now there's a little bit with another female.
Yeah, we'll get to her.
She still technically has clothing on.
Yeah, but we'll get to her.
He's actually naked.
Yeah, he's completely buck naked.
And I liked how they didn't sexualize most of the female cast.
Oh, yeah.
It was just the one female that I just said. Just really her. Everyone else wasn't really sexualized.
Like I said, a lot of the show was
refreshing.
Very refreshing and surreal for sure. So he's naked and the cops chase him because he's got a gun and stuff. So of course. And then
he ditches grabs her and runs.
Well, no. He ditches the cops and she gives him his coat.
Oh yeah, her coat.
Yeah.
So her big red coat, but her coat has her passport in it.
Right.
So she starts chasing him down. I need my passport.
That scene was funny too, just the way she was staring at him the whole way.
Yeah, that was good.
So,
the attention to detail was great.
So he runs away. He's just got a coat on with no clothes.
Yeah, just a coat. His junk's hanging out, and he's running through New York.
Yeah.
Or DC, not New York.
And then he goes to his own apartment, and this is where we discover that he has no memory.
Not only that, but he thinks he's a terrorist because he's got all kinds of guns and shit in his apartment.
And he's got a picture of him overlooking, like, I guess it's supposed to be 20,000.
20,000 just as naked men.
Yeah. Just one question I wanted to ask before. What's a NEET?
So a NEET is an actual cultural issue in Japan at the moment. A NEET pretty much locks themselves in their house, and their parents pay for their food. They won't go outside. They won't go to work. They won't go to school. They won't even come out to take a shower half the time. It's an actual issue that's going on in Japan right now. Has been for a while. So it turns out that his way of before he erased his memory, before the show started, his way of saving Japan was taking 20,000 NEETs and curing them.
Oh, I was so lost with that whole
Now, he was also
line.
playing the long game, as we find out later in the show, because he puts them on a boat with food, naked for some fucking reason.
They had no phones. He took all
he took everything. He pretty much puts them in shipping containers. And you find out, again, it wasn't just fixing them. He was playing the long game. They came back and helped him later on. But anyway,
he sent
the picture is him in front of the 20,000 at a mall. He's, up on a balcony or whatever, taking a picture of himself in front of him.
He sent them to Dubai, I think.
Yeah, it was Dubai.
One of them,
they all are tanned, actually. Yeah, very tan.
How did that one get back?
I guess, well, they went to Dubai and everything, right? They didn't explain all of it because that wasn't part of the show, really. Him doing that was part of the show, and the repercussions of him doing this.
Right. No,
but you're left to assume that they went to Dubai, and then they had some amount of freedom, and he just got away and came back.
But at the end, they all came back in those shipping.
Yeah, I'm assuming he had some sort of plan set up to gather them up, put them back in shipping containers, and bring them back to Japan.
All right,
it's just nothing they ever actually told you.
All right, so explain the phone. Because that's what's next.
Alright, so the phone is fingerprint activated, so if you steal someone's phone, you can't use it. Your fingerprint, it's a regular phone that works, but if you use the fingerprint activation, it calls up their concierge, what's her name?
Oh, I'm sorry, Juice.
Julice. And she, I'm pretty sure she's an AI, but at the same time, you meet a bunch of women that look very similar. Some of them are identical, and some of them aren't. Don't know if they were Juice or if Juice was the server.
When I was writing down the characters, I did a little reading up on the character thing. Juice is the AI.
Okay.
Those 4 girls are just 4 girls that apparently work for the head guy, and they call him Grandpa. So
now, what I'm wondering is, do they answer the phone and then put the information into Juice?
No.
Did Juice answer the phone? Maybe they were driving because the servers end up much later on in the show end up being on these big 18-wheelers, and they're driving around the country. So maybe they were just the drivers.
No, I know for a fact they weren't because they showed a scene of the 4 girls in the diner as the 2 come out making things, and none of them are on phones or anything.
Okay.
So yeah, so the phone goes directly to the AI.
Okay, so that was a little interesting. Well, anyway, so the fingerprint activation connects to Juice. Juice is this huge, gigantic server. It's so big it can only fit on an 18-wheeler if it was being transported. And if you tell her to do something, she gets it done.
Doesn't matter what it is, she can do it.
For the most part. You did see some limitations in the later part of the movies.
Well, yeah, in the movies, because some of them were ridiculous. But
yeah, but you did see some limitations, but pretty much it was the same.
It
worked.
It was the one character asked for something. For the 2 protagonists to do something, she's like, I have no control of their human will.
Yes, which makes perfect sense. I'm happy they actually added that in the movies, because that was a question that I had.
Right.
But pretty much she bribes people to get what she wants done. If you say you're walking down you're walking down the street and some guy looks at you funny, you say, "Kill that motherfucker, Juice." A cop will probably come around the corner and shoot him dead.
Right.
Because she's bribing them.
Yeah, and everything gets deducted from their amount of
their 10 billion yen.
Yeah. So the first 2 episodes are pretty much them just meeting and getting to know each other.
They are coming back to Japan.
And they come back to Japan, and when they get back to Japan, the people with the phones are called Salazars?
Yeah, Salazars.
Yeah, it's a football.
There's 11 plus a supporter, but it turns out there's really just 12 of them.
It's apparently a play on football term, or soccer in America.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, they actually explain it. Even
Did they?
Yeah.
Shit.
Even they said the main guy was an avid football fan,
mm-hmm.
and that even his name is a play on words. So.
Gotcha.
So I mean,
not a soccer fan.
His name is.
So that's not something I caught on at all.
It's Saizo Atto is his name.
Okay.
Outsider.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Outsider.
Yeah. So yeah, so the Salazars. When I get back to Japan, we're introduced to this our first Salazar that is not Kira. He is. I'm never.
He's
prepared.
a police officer.
His name's Yushi Hondo, and he is a detective, actually.
And when we meet him and we see him, I thought he was going to be the antagonist. I thought he was going to be, at the very least, part of the show for a while.
Yeah, so did I.
Not the case.
But honestly, you know what? I thought at first he was like the detective trying to figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
Going on with everything, and that actually...
And I even thought he was going to be like a really bad guy, which to a point he was, but then he isn't.
And until he showed his phone, I was like, oh, maybe he's an antagonist. But no, he's just really bad at this game.
Yeah, apparently he's just terrible at the game.
Yeah.
I guess he wastes his money.
Yeah, he wasted all of his money, and he
even went into debt with a couple people.
Right.
Which he ended up killing.
Yeah. He called in his things, and he called them, and in the end,
How do you go into debt when you have 10 billion yen? What the hell?
I don't know. He managed.
How bad at you are you at this? Are you?
He said he was terrible at it. He was just a down on his luck kind of guy, and they showed it. I mean, he helps Takizawa. He's a plot device to get him with his memory. That's, we see him. He actually steals his phone, Takawaza's phone, at one point.
Because he wants Takizawa's money. Takizawa has like 8-point-something billion left on his phone, and he wants that money because he's almost out of money. So he steals his phone, beats him up a little bit, steals the phone, and then he finds out that you can't take the money without their fingerprints.
And this is also at the same time we discovered that Takizawa, for some reason, bought a mall. He lives in a mall.
Oh yeah, he bought them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So he kind of takes her on a date, and she's lying to her friends and stuff like that.
So while she's watching the movie, he's sort of fixing the movie up, making sure it's playing right. And that's when the
detective comes
beats the shit out of him and takes his phone.
Meanwhile, she's lying to her friends that her flight got delayed or something. I don't remember what the reason was. So they're like, okay, and stuff like that. And this is where we get introduced to like
all the side characters.
Yeah, all the side characters. But
which are interesting.
I just wanted to mention the Mikikura Katsururi. He's the guy, the unrequited love guy.
Yeah, I felt bad for him.
I did too, because he was just trying to look out for her the whole time.
He really cared for Saki and really wanted to be with her, and at every turn, she didn't give a crap about him.
Yeah, but they did mention that up until Takizawa, that she was like a nun and didn't give in to anyone's adventures. So it wasn't him personally.
Well, no, but still,
we
do spend a little time with him, so I start to care about him a bit.
Well, no, I got you, but they make it appear that Takizawa is this force of nature, and he kind of is.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's why she was moved the way she was. Mm-hmm. It's not a bad romance either. If I think about it, I mean.
So we're introduced to him. We're also introduced to.
I got it. Sis is this older legal lady. She wasn't much of a role. Then there was... Oh, I'm sorry. Mikiru... I said that was the guy's name. That's actually the girl.
The little girl?
The little girl programmer.
Yeah, she's a programmer. She's got to be like 12. But again, this goes to different cultures. In Japan, although you're not an adult until, I believe, 18, you don't need to go to high school. Middle school is plenty for your educational status if you have a job. A lot of people actually just right out of middle school go straight to the workforce. And that seems to be the case with her. You never see her going to school or anything. All you do is you see her working on their company, Eden of East, which is what all these side characters are working on, their side company. You just see her working on it. So I don't think she went to high school.
No, but she also seemed like a really brilliant programmer.
Yes, so obviously she didn't need to.
Right.
But the clear cultural differences, that would not fly in America. You're going to high school.
Yeah, there's no ifs, ands, or
even if you're a dropout, you're still going to high school. You can't drop out till you're at least 15, I believe.
And you need your parents' permission at that point. And the unrequited love guy is actually Satoshi Asagui.
Sato.
Yeah, Sato. And then there is Kazumi Hirashi. He's the leader of the Eden of the East.
CEO, whatever.
Yeah. And then there is also Hanaru Kasugugi. This guy is very strange. He sits in a cupboard most of the time.
He's a NEET. they described him as a typical NEET. Now, some of the other characters that work at Eden, they all call themselves NEETs, but they're not really because they go outside. I think they were just kind of calling it just to be fun. Panties is a NEET. He will not go outside.
Yeah, we'll get to him because he's a little further in. But this guy...
Now, to be fair, he's a NEET's wet dream because he has this secret compartment in his room with this awesome techie place, all these computers and stuff. That's not the case with most NEETs. I'm
going to say right now, a lot of this anime was lost to me because I had no idea what it was.
Some of the cultural,
Yeah, I was completely lost. So when the guy, they're in the office and all of a sudden the cover opens, he's just inside the cover. And then when he's done talking...
That was funny.
He closes the cupboard. I was like, okay.
That was good.
So it was funny, but I was lost. I was like, I'm guessing this is funny for a reason, but I wasn't sure what it was.
They're just making fun of NEETs.
Alright, anyway, to go back to the detective guy, so he's like the antagonist for the first few episodes.
Yeah, he steals the phone, and as soon as he steals the phone, he thinks he has the money, so he texts his mistress, hey, I've got money, let's meet up, enough to live off of forever.
Yeah, this is after he kills his loan sharks and stuff like that.
Yeah, he kills his loan sharks, all that, and a witness that saw him kill the loan sharks.
Oh yeah, he texts his mistress. Oh,
well, apparently when he texted his mistress, he...
accidentally texted
How the hell you do this is beyond me. He also texted his wife.
I thought he accidentally texted his wife,
not
the mistress. Cause
that would have made more sense, but what they actually said was, make sure when you text your mistress, you don't also text your wife. So maybe that could be a translation issue, because this is dubbed.
Oh, I just thought, because the mistress didn't show up.
The mistress didn't show up. Only his wife showed up.
So I figured
who killed him.
Oh yeah, she did kill him.
She stabbed him, and he ended up bleeding out and dying. Now, I didn't say, because we watched the first couple episodes together, I didn't say this at the time, but I thought she was going to be the supporter because of that.
Oh, no.
And he didn't know that she was playing. I thought that was going to happen, but no, that was not the case.
She never shows up again.
Yeah.
But honestly, his death was a plot device to get Katsuaki this second phone.
Yes, because he starts chasing after the detective, and when he finds the detective, he's bleeding out because his wife just stabbed him. So he grabs his phone back, but then he also takes the detective's phone.
Right. And this is because he still doesn't have his memory, so he's trying to piece together everything as we go along. So, yeah, I mean...
By the way, on their plane ride from America to Japan, he finds out that there were missile attacks over the past couple of years. Careless Monday. We find out that... Now, there were no deaths for any of these missile attacks, which is really odd. Bit of a mystery, and we figure out why.
Yeah, there was like 6 missiles. Mm-hmm. It's a very complicated plot.
We end up figuring out that one of the other supporters was behind the missile attacks.
Right.
But Tachikawa is the one responsible for using the NEETs as volunteers, the 20,000, for rounding out the citizens up and getting them away before the attacks actually hit. So
yeah, and the NEETs
for probably a good part of the series, you think he's the one who did Careless Monday. He's the one that attacked Japan.
Yeah, but no.
But then you find out, no, he's the savior.
He saved everybody. He actually got the NEETs to volunteer and come out, and the NEETs were being treated as heroes for a little while, and then all of a sudden they were getting blamed for stuff, for the missile attacks, and that's why he decided to ship them off.
Yep.
So that's essentially the whole plot line, and I still don't understand why he erased his memory. Because he actually had that happen.
So they explained it as the NEETs turned on him,
right?
Because they were starting being persecuted by society.
Yeah, no, I got that.
So everyone he cared about was turning on him, and I think it was too much because he did good. He didn't do anything bad, and people were viewing him as a terrorist. Again, you got to read in between the lines a little bit for this part. But I believe that's why he erased his memory. He just didn't care anymore. He was done. Okay. He wanted to start over.
And it's called Careless Monday because after the missile attacks happened, the Prime Minister said something.
No, that was separate. It was
no. He
Uncle.
That's a second. That's a different thing.
Oh, he said something.
He came on TV and said, "I made a mistake" or something.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why they called it Careless Monday. Now
that, and they kind of swept it on the rug. No one really cared.
Now, Kawazawa was testing out his phone, essentially, and said, I want to make the Prime Minister say, Uncle, can you do that to Juiz?
Tachikawa.
Yeah, and whatever.
And it cost, like, a nominal amount. It was only, like, a couple $100 yen.
Yeah, and he said Uncle on television. So,
at, like, their parliament hearing. Uncle! Uncle!
It was pretty much a proof of the power that Juiz actually had, which was pretty neat. So, you mentioned this. The main antagonists really don't show up to the end, but the Ryuyuki number 10 is the guy who did the missiles.
Yes, and he's got 60 more missiles coming.
Yeah, he's ready to take it down, but he's only doing it under the orders of number 1.
Yes,
he's Daido Manobi.
Number 1's pretty much puppeting him. He's controlling him.
And he's an ex-politician. We don't really find out much about number 10.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, he ends up just being like an outcast.
Yeah. What I thought was funny, though, is that he's the one, besides the main character, Tachikawa, at the end of the game, the very end, when it's completed, we find out that all the supporters have their phone on, they're talking to Mr. Outside. Mr. Outside erases their memory.
Yeah.
Except number 10.
Because he broke his phone.
He broke his phone.
Yeah.
So he keeps his memories. So that's interesting.
Yeah, he broke his phone because he didn't want to play the game anymore.
And it seems like they explained that Tachikawa kept his memories because he already erased his memory twice. Once before the show, once towards the end of the show.
Right.
And then the third time in the movies didn't count from the phone from Mr. Outside because he had already done it twice. So I guess it just didn't work.
Right. But it
was interesting that his didn't work.
He broke his phone because he wanted to get away from Minobi, who was number 1. But at the end, Minobi doesn't know who he is because his memory is erased, and he's trying, like, what do you mean you don't remember? And he runs him down, and we don't know if he's dead or not.
You know what? I'm going to say yes, because they don't actually show it, but the angles, so like, number 1's driving the car, and number 10 pulls out a gun and starts shooting at him. Now, the scene is from number 1's perspective inside the car, and you're looking out the window. Directly in front of him, the bullets holes come through the window. I mean, trajectory, right? It would have hit him. Yeah, how would it not have hit him?
I got you, but there's 2 instances in the show where you think someone's dead and they come back from the dead.
And now, before we go any farther, did you stick around for the last 2 minutes of the last movie?
Oh, yeah.
You fast forward through the credits and watch that? Yeah. Okay. Then we're good.
I made sure to do it.
Because you'd think it's over, but it's not.
No, I knew there was still too many unanswered questions. I was like, this can't end unsatisfactory again. So
we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Anyway, so talk about panties.
Oh, panties is cool. So, at some point towards the middle to late part of the 11 episodes, Tachikawa, I think that's his name, and Saki end up going to Panny's house. Panny lives like 2 or 3 hours away. I forget what town it's in.
They're going there because they can't access the phone.
The phone that Tachikawa took from off of the detective.
And this guy's supposed to be the most brilliant tech guy.
He's a NEET. That's what all NEETs want to be. They're the brilliant techie guys. That's what they want. Really, really want to be. They're typically not. Typically they're smelly and don't leave the room.
Anyway.
Well, Panny's reason for never going outside is that one day while doing laundry and hanging out to dry on his little balcony, his pants blew off the laundry clippers.
His only pair of pants.
His only pair of pants.
But I think they give a realistic reason too.
But what's also funny is that in that little cutback scene where his pants flew away, he's in shape.
Oh, yeah.
He's in good shape. And then you see him for the first time, and he's not in shape. He's put on a good 40 pounds.
Yeah. But what I found funny in this is that when the Eden of the East guys tell him they go talk to him, but take the girls because he's a soft spot for girls.
Yeah.
And they get there, and he won't let them in. He's very suspicious of all of them. Mm-hmm. But they show that, what's his name? Tachikawa.
Pretty sure.
Is so charming and so, like...
Well, but he's also a Salazar.
Well, he's a
Salazar. And he can prove it, so
but
he lets him in.
He's just so quick with everything.
Yes. No, he's very charismatic.
So, and he talks...
He's also very smart, very driven, doesn't make any big mistakes in the show, which is, I guess that's a fault.
So
he should be more human. He should make more faults.
He talks his way into the room when he wouldn't even let the 2 girls that he liked into the room, and practically made friends with them.
Yeah, like instantly.
Yeah, so it was a neat scene.
Yeah, it was good. I liked Panties a lot. Probably one of my favorite characters in the show. He was just funny.
You just liked his name.
Yeah.
All right. We're just jumping around.
Well, no, I mean,
Yeah. Let's move on.
So the story continues.
I'm getting there. Let's move on to Kuroa Diana Shiraton, number 11, the serial killer.
Yeah, so the serial killer, and this was before Panties.
Yeah.
So
there's a rumor a myth going around about the Johnny
killer.
Johnny killer. Explain
Which I guess this is again cultural differences. I think that is like a term that caught on over there, Johnny.
Right.
I'm assuming, I don't actually know that,
yeah.
but they use the term Johnny all the time, not only for penises but also for boys.
Yeah, I was about to say they use it two different contexts here. But explain what the Johnny killer is.
The Johnny killer is a serial killer who was a serial killer before she was picked to be a Salazar. And I guess she was molested as a young girl, which I caught on to very early. And then so did Tachikawa, and he brought that up anyway. So in order for her to get back at men, because she was, molested, she finds terrible men that, lust after her because she's beautiful, and she chains them up in her hotel room. She puts them on a chair, puts a mask on them, puts their hands behind their back, handcuffs them, and then she takes a cigar cutter and cuts their penis off. Oh my god. I mean, at least have sex with them first. My god. I hope she did. I don't know.
That doesn't look like
they never show any nudity or anything. I mean, it's very provocative. She's in lingerie.
She's always in lingerie when
pretty much
doing it. But I don't think she ever does sleep with them.
Yeah, I don't think she does either. I really hope she does, though.
I don't think she does. Because she just mentions they're rapists and stuff. Why would she give them...
Well, I mean, she does say that. So I think she's a bit more particular with her victims when she picks them than we originally thought.
Right.
Because when we meet her, she takes one of the side characters.
Well, we thought she did.
Taru? The guy that's...
Sato.
Sato, that's it. The guy that really, really likes sake.
Right. We thought she did, but he actually got his bag stolen.
Yes, he had his bag stolen by someone, and then the Johnny killer, I forget her name, ended up getting the guy that stole Sato's bag.
And we thought it was Sato at first because
we always thought it for a while, 2 or 3 episodes.
But she also walked right by him.
Yes,
at the end
they really let us to believe that she took him
while he was drunk, crying over the fact that that Saki was with
Tachikawa instead of him.
Yeah, so it was this whole big ordeal.
Yes. Yeah, so after that, we're definitely led to believe that she's more particular about the people that she takes, which is great. You know what I mean? Yeah. Hey, if you're only picking out serial killers to kill, more power to you.
This whole plot was just designed to see how two Salazars would go up against each other.
Yes, how they meet, how they confront each other and everything.
Right, because...
I have a question.
Okay.
So, eventually, Tachikawa and Saki, at separate points, a few minutes in between each other, find number 11. They find what's her name. You know what I mean? In the hotel room.
Okay.
She's naked. Yeah, about to cut the Johnny off of the Johnny. Mm-hmm. And Tachikawa was wounded from an explosion earlier. Nothing crazy, but he's wounded from it.
Before you get your question, let's explain how they get to the hotel room and how they find them and stuff, because it's a little convoluted and it's out of nowhere a little bit. So the guy who's captured is on Facebook or whatever? Some internet forum that's a support group for unrequited love, I believe it was. Yeah, and so they see the bag, so they end up telling Takizawa. So he's still strapped to a chair. She has to go somewhere because she's called away. She's a CEO of a company. She's a CEO of a modeling company. So his hands are still handcuffed behind the chair, but he gets his hand on his cell phone. And he could take pictures and upload them. I guess he's really good at using the cell phone because he can't see it. It's behind his back. But he's taking pictures of the room. And eventually, he's uploading them to the site. Eventually, he gets a good picture of the bag that he stole. Right. Which, at this point, we still believe that it's Sato because Sato isn't answering his phone or anything. Apparently, he got drunk with some work buddies. Yeah. And just, he was out. He wasn't waking up. Well, he's uploading the pictures. So we all think it's Sato, and then they find him because of the pictures that are uploaded. Right, but I only bring this up because this is where they start using the phone. Oh yes, the company Eden of the East. They start using the application. I meant, well, yeah, they use the application because the application is just, I don't even know. Pretty much. So you take a picture of something and you upload it to the app.
and then everyone can see the app. Everyone that has the app can see the picture, and they can comment on it. So if you have a question about something, like, I don't know, what's this? Take a picture of it and upload it. Now everyone that has that app can tell you what it is. Pretty much.
Okay.
So they took the picture of the hotel room piano, I believe it was.
Yeah.
That the guy uploaded and put it on Eden of East, and everyone was like, "Oh, I know exactly what kind of piano that is." So then it was a very specific rare piano. They were able to track it down to one buyer.
Right.
And they figured out where it was.
I wasn't even talking about that. I was talking about the fact that this is where the two Salazars actually start fighting through the phone initially. Like they keep distracting each other. She causes an explosion on the highway.
Yeah.
He buys her hotel out from underneath.
Well, not just that, but he also buys out a police officer to pull her over and potentially arrest her.
Yeah, so it's going back and forth. It was just a neat way to show it.
Yeah, it was definitely nice.
And
I wouldn't mind it if there was more of that, actually.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
So he gets up to the hotel room and finds her about to kill this guy.
Well, about to cut off his Johnny.
Yeah. So, okay, your question.
So, alright, so pretty much he stops her from doing it. Tachikawa stops her from killing the Johnny at that moment. Mm-hmm. But he passes out from blood loss because he was wounded in the explosion.
After she propositions him.
Yes, which is odd. She pretty much wants him to.
She's like, I didn't think love was out there. Are you the one to give me?
Yeah,
love?
so he was going to attempt to. I would assume be a gentleman and not lust after her,
right?
But that wasn't the case. He put his arm around her, was leaning in for a kiss. So that didn't quite make sense to me. But it didn't matter because he passed out from blood loss anyway.
Right.
And then Saki shows up pretty much right then and there as he's falling on her. Well, they talk. Turns out that the guy on the floor isn't Sato. It's just some old grown man that stole Sato's bag. And then she bursts out these gigantic wings, picks up the old guy, and flies out the hotel.
The window, right.
What the fuck?
That was...
This was, the phone thing, buying people out with 10 billion yen is a bit out there, but, whatever, it's realistic-ish.
Right.
What the hell? They never explained this.
That's only this... second one that happened. The first one that confused me is when he's driving the bridge looking out at the disaster from the missiles, and he goes down, and all of a sudden he's surrounded by these six white...
Oh, see, I was thinking
there was
his repressed memories because they were deleted from his brain. All his memories were deleted. So I think that was him trying to remember things, but he couldn't remember their faces, so all the people were just these white globs of goo.
Yeah, but out of nowhere, there's this weird element in there.
Yeah, it was very out of left field.
And then out of nowhere, she sprouts wings and flies out the window.
But they never explained that. I mean, they never explained the guys that were all white that were...
Actually, they do.
Do they?
Yeah.
Good.
After she bursts out the window, it shows a picture of her phone. And it says something class 3 illusion or something.
Oh.
Yeah, so it wasn't...
I didn't catch that.
It wasn't...
So maybe she paid for that.
She paid for it, and it made them think that happened, but it didn't
we don't know exactly what happened. We just know that the illusion happened of her bursting, these wings coming out of her skin and her flying off with the guy.
Right.
That's interesting. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I saw it, and I wish I actually looked now that you mention it, because I wonder if the window in the background was actually broken. It might have not have been.
Yeah, it could have just been, like holograms set up in the room.
And even if it was, someone could have just shot it out. Mm-hmm. So but it was definitely just an illusion that she paid for, probably in advance. Because
that was probably set up in the room.
Right. So I thought it was strange too, but I caught it.
Okay. Yeah. So that explains that. Then the wings. I was confused by that. What the hell? But the guys. The scene where all the guys in white that are faceless. Right. I'm pretty sure they never explain it. I'm pretty sure that's just his memories trying to come back, but they're not.
I took it as it was some of the neats.
Yeah. I thought they were the neats.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, it was just weird and out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was definitely odd.
Yeah,
very, very odd. I guess that's the psychological part of the psychological mystery.
I guess. But what's even odder is that the serial killer, for all her faults, ends up kind of being the good guy at the end.
Yeah, she saves him at some point.
Yeah.
So, all the Julie's, they get loaded up onto 18-wheelers because they're not safe anymore. So they're driving around Japan continuously. They stop for gas. Yeah, this is the movies. They stop for gas and then they continue driving. Well, number one wants to end the game, and he wants to be the only one playing the game, so he's blowing them up once he finds them.
Right.
So he goes to blow up number 9's, which is Tachikawa's, but she believes in Tachikawa now. So she switched their 18-wheelers. So his got. So number 1 thought Tachikawa's Juice was blown up, but it wasn't.
Right. All right. I mean,
you know what? We could go step by step with it, but it was good. You know what I mean?
I'm actually gonna skip ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Here and just get to the ending.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I mean, the ending of the series we'll start with because it just makes no sense. Mm-hmm. So number 10, the guy who started the original missile thing, fires more missiles.
Mm-hmm. 60 of them.
60 of them. And so the ending is pretty much...
So the 20,000 Neats, right before the missiles get fired, the 20,000 Neats arrive at the mall. They come off this gigantic boat out of the crates, and they're storming the mall. They're looking for Tachikawa, whatever his name is.
By the way, they're all naked.
They're all naked, but they're running around, ripping the mall apart looking for him. And then, the missiles pretty much get fired. So Tachigazawa, whatever his name is. Akira. I'm just going to call him Akira from now on. He...
Only 30 minutes into
They all found their phones, so he pretty much video messages them and says, "Hey, meet me on the roof if you wanna,
kill me.
If you wanna meet me."
Yeah.
Then they get on the roof, and he's a bit out of reach, but he is on the roof with them, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna blow up Japan. I got 60 missiles coming. How are you gonna stop them?" So they all pull out their phones, and they're uploading reasons or ways to stop the 60 missiles mid-flight, pretty much.
I didn't get the part that he said he was doing it.
No, he definitely did.
I thought he was saying that there's 60 missile comings. Help me do this. That's that's the impression that I got.
No, he definitely said, this is, I'm gonna blow it up, and I need you to, I pretty much need you to tell me how we can fix this.
Oh,
because he keeps setting himself up. He does this multiple times as the terrorist when he isn't.
I get that, but it doesn't make sense with him directing the shots.
It doesn't make much sense, no. But he is. He starts pointing at some of the missiles, and then they blow up.
I'm going to have to look...
I don't think he was pointing at them and directing people to blow them up. I think he was pointing at them in the hopes that they would blow up. Because one was pretty much coming right at him, and he's pointing at it. And I think he's just hoping to God that one of the Neats gets it blown up.
I don't know, but he was pretty damn accurate.
Yeah, I mean, well, all of them. All of them didn't kill anyone. All 60 missiles were blown up.
Yeah, I mean, but only one did any damage.
Yeah, the one that was coming at him.
Yeah, so that was strange.
It blew up, I don't know how far, but far enough away to where everyone on the roof didn't die, but close enough to do some damage to the roof.
And knock out Saki.
Yeah, Saki got knocked out from the explosion. But she woke up, she was fine.
Yeah, no, it was just a little bit of trauma towards the end. So, with all the missiles averted,
he just disappears. That's the end of the show.
He says he makes one.
Well, yeah, but still, he pretty much disappears. That's the end of the show.
Yeah, but he makes one final request and says he wants to be king of Japan,
and I'm willing to spend all of my money to do so.
Yeah, and then he disappears.
Yeah, he's gone.
Did no resolution with any of the antagonists or anything like that. So
that was just the end of the show.
It was just an abrupt ending.
Yeah, so that's what makes me think that the movies were planned ahead of time because of how abrupt it was with zero resolution with any of the characters.
Well, I see you say that, but then in the beginning of the first movies, they kind of repeat the beginning of the series.
Yeah, I think that's just with any show, any story. Whenever there's a sequel, whenever there's a continuation, they always recap a little bit of what happened beforehand.
Yeah, I know, I got that, but they did he lost his memory again.
Yeah.
And they kind of had to do...
Well, I think that was because that was the best way to become king of Japan.
I got you, but even Saki...
Like, Juice got to pick what way to do it, and that was it, so that's what happened.
Even Saki having to go back to America and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, they were definitely not redoing, but...
Doing the same plot again.
Yeah, it was pretty much the same plot for the first part of the movie.
And it was all, of course, part of the plan, because the movie theater leads to discovery of what happened to his mother and
who is a gigantic cunt, but we don't... They leave it open-ended. They say that she has reasons for leaving him alone as a child at age 5.
She gave him, 10 yen and...
500 yen.
500 yen and disappeared. I mean, they showed that the father picked him up.
Yeah.
But didn't they say that he wasn't his father?
He ended up not being his father, the prime minister.
Yeah, because that's how he's becoming king.
He probably thinks he was, because Akira, almost try to attempt his name again. Akira pretty much says, like, oh, I guess my mom was more free-spirited than we thought, because the prime minister wasn't his father.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Which means she's a whore. It's a nice way to say that, guys.
So, yeah, the way he's becoming king is because he's supposedly the illegitimate son of the prime minister.
And the prime minister just died.
So, yeah, they're trying to...
Somehow that makes you qualified to be prime minister?
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
I mean, apparently that's true in Canada, but that's a separate topic.
I don't know. I don't know how other...
Oh, I wanted to just bring this up real quick. Did you see in the first movie, I believe it was, might have been the second movie, they start talking about their politics and the tax plans and everything.
Yeah.
I thought that was just really interesting. I mean, this anime came out in 2009. The manga was probably created a few years beforehand. I don't know exactly offhand, but I'm assuming it was. I just thought it was really interesting because that's a current hot topic issue in America right now. Is a big tax plan.
What I found interesting is that their tax plan is the complete opposite of my tax plan.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was like the other extreme. You get all your money taxed.
Mm-hmm. Whereas here in America right now, they're trying to not tax us as much.
Right.
Good for bad, either way. Wherever you stand on the issue. We're not arguing the politics of it. It was just really interesting to see
the comparison.
Yeah, that was just really funny.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting in that, to say the least. So, I mean, in the movies, he comes back, and essentially, it's just wrapping up the game.
Yeah, it's wrapping up the game. It's wrapping up the end of the story.
They go a little more into his personal story.
He gets his memories back fairly quickly.
Yeah.
But he only gets his memories back as Akira, not as before the beginning of the show.
Before the first memory wipe. And by the end, he gets all his memories back.
Yeah, for the most part.
And he's declared the winner because... Oh, how did he win the game?
So he won the game by using not EMVs, but a separate app that they had called Airship. But because they had EMVs on everyone's phone in Japan, they were able, apparently, you can do this. You can just automatically download apps onto people's phones without the permission. I guess that's a thing.
I guess. I don't know.
AirDrop is like a secure phone app.
I suspended my disbelief when I saw a woman sprout wings and jump out a window.
Yeah, that kind of threw me for a left turn.
So,
well, anyway, so they make everyone download this AirDrop app in Japan, Airship app, and he connects his phone to all of them, and he pretty much says, "Hey, old guys," pretty much talking to the companies in Japan. And again, this is another big cultural issue in Japan. People work till they die. They work 90, 120 hours a week, and they get paid minimum wage. A lot of times they have to clock out, you know what I mean, and just keep on working, otherwise they won't get anywhere. So this is a way he was trying to fix things. Again, how he wants to save Japan. He was pretty much saying, hey, old guys, big companies with lots of money, stop doing that, pretty much. And he said, if you don't, those 60 missiles that I sent and blew up, I won't blow up, and that was just training for today. So if you don't do this, it's going to be even worse.
He said he's going to take all the NEETs, and they won't have a workforce at all.
All the NEETs in the country. And he said, to prove this, I'm going to give everyone a single yen.
And he does.
Yeah, he sends a single yen to everyone. I guess the Airship app was able to do that.
I mean, again, we're not questioning.
Yeah, you do have to suspend disbelief a bit.
We don't really need to explain the...
Now, what I do like is that at the end of the show, they're wrapping things up in like a monologue, pretty much.
Right.
For Saki's talking. And she pretty much says it didn't do much of anything. That phone call did almost zero.
Right.
But at the end of the show, he has to run away again.
Oh yeah, he said, "I am the terrorist."
Yes, he called himself on the phone call to everyone in Japan.
Everything that's been wrong recently is my fault.
Yes, so he owned up to it, even though he wasn't the terrorist. He's pretty much being the Dark Knight.
Yeah,
the hero
a little
we need.
bit. It's funny. I actually looked up a review or two of this, and the one reviewer was saying how they took a lot from the Bourne Identity.
Oh, okay.
And stuff like that. So
all right. Well, anyway, so he's back on the run because he took responsibility for the attack. So he's on the run. Pretty much, he's in hiding because he's the terrorist. And Saki's doing the monologue at this point saying that telling all the old guys to, not do this anymore, to hire people at livable wages, not work them to death. That didn't work, pretty much. Well, at the end of the show, at the end of the credits, they fixed that because it didn't work. They see him get into a taxi cab and Mr. Outside, whatever. Right. He's the driver of the taxi cab, and he smacks Mr. Outside in the face with a shoe. Because he's been wanting to deck him the entire show.
He's been saying the whole show, when I find Mr. Outside, I'm going to smack him in the face. But you should explain Mr. Outside. He's how the people got their phones is they were his cab drive. He's a cab driver, or pretending to be one, and they got in as passengers, and he asked them, what would you do with 10 billion yen?
Yeah, how would you fix the country with 10 billion yen?
So, how would you fix the country? And if the answers were satisfactory to him, he would find a way to get them a phone.
Yeah.
But Akira wasn't actually a passenger of his. He just happened to be talking to him one day, and he found him interested, and that's how he got his phone. So...
Well, anyway, at the very end of the show, last couple minutes after the credits, he shows up in Mr. Outside's taxi cab, smacks him in the face with a shoe because he's an elderly, he doesn't want to punch him. And pretty much says, don't play stupid, you know what's going on. And the guy smiles. Mr. Outside smiles a bit. So he didn't erase his memory. Because that's kind of what I thought at first, but he didn't. And then he's like, all right, we got a lot of work to do.
Right.
Because he still wants to fix the country, apparently, Akira. So he's like, all right, let's do this. We got a whole lot of work to do. I'm going to keep you busy. So that leads you to believe that he does end up fixing the country in some way.
Which I found, which was a good ending. But the thing I found a little disappointing is the fact that he promised he was going to go back to her, and he never did.
Well, I'm sure he does. You just don't see it.
I don't think he does.
No, I think he does. I think he ends up starting to fix the country. I mean, this is all headcanon. I believe that he starts to, fix the country, and then he probably somehow, fixes his name. Pretty much says, it proves to everyone that he wasn't behind the attacks.
No, I like to think he just disappeared.
That would be nice.
Yeah,
I like the love story with the golden ring from the merry-go-round. Come on.
I like the love story too, but it doesn't seem like in character for him.
For him, no. It really doesn't seem like he cared real much about the love.
No,
story.
I mean, he liked her, and
yeah, I'm sure he liked her.
He cared about her.
But I don't think he was in love with her the way she was in love with him.
No, and he definitely cared about her a lot. It's just, he just was a force of nature, like I said.
Yeah, a very driven character.
And he's just going to do what needs to be done. And so I like to think he disappeared with the old man.
And just fixes the country in quiet.
Yeah, pretty much. We don't really need to go much more into the plot. It's a good show. Watch it. But I do want to just mention some of the other Salazars real quick. So, number 3 is Toshiko Kitsubashi. She's number 3, and she was just this elderly old lady in a hospital. Yeah,
there's in this sort of montage at the end, they show all the other Salazars that you never met.
Right. And then Hajime Hiron is a doctor that we get introduced early in the season. He pretty much reveals what everything is to Akira, and at the end of his episode, we're led to believe that he's killed off. Mm-hmm. But at the end of that montage, apparently not. He's just had his memories erased. Then there is Tashi Naomoto. He's number 6, and he, I guess, is the antagonist in the movie. First movie.
Mm-hmm. He is a bit.
He's a filmmaker trying to film.
How that's saving Japan's beyond me.
I don't know.
He's trying to make this love story between Saki and Akira.
And this is the first time we see Juiz get really frustrated with one of the Salazars.
That was funny.
Yeah, he was making outrageous demands, trying to make them...
Get both of them in the shower now. And she's like, I can't do that.
Right. Yeah, so he makes stupid things like making their heater explode, and he's trying to kill them and stuff like that. He was just really... And he ends up in prison at the end of the whole thing.
Yeah, with Big Black in American prison, by the way. Somehow in America, because they were in Japan.
I think he followed Saki.
Oh, okay.
Because he's the one that put the guns in her bag that got her.
Yes.
Because the first movie recapped pretty much the first couple episodes, and she got in trouble with the cops again.
Well, his memory gets erased, and he's standing there arrested with 2 big black dudes on either side of him. He's like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, and then number 7 we do not see at all. He does not exist. And apparently number 8 is this middle-aged man, And according to what I looked up, she was just a cameo. So I just wanted to throw in
Yeah, definitely. A little bit of information there.
Right.
Also, the characters we didn't see.
Right. So, I mean...
I'm going to give this, I don't know, a 9.5 out of 10. It was really good. I highly recommend it to anyone listening.
Yeah, I'm going to go 8.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. It was really, really good.
The story's a little convoluted for my taste.
Yeah, it was a little,
but
it was. I liked it though.
I really did like it too. But
yeah, him giving an 8, my God.
Yeah, wow. You have to impress me, and it impressed me. Okay.
All right. So let's spin the wheel for next episode.
All right.
This is going to be category F.
All right. Oops.
You just got to click on it.
Oh, I got to click on it. Oh, okay. There we go. And we got.
Oh, God. I don't know what this is.
Fantastic Children.
Hopefully it's interesting. It's an odd name.
Yep. It's a shame we didn't get anything good.
Yeah, I mean, there were a few really, really good things, but there are also things we've seen, so it is nice to have something we haven't seen before.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? We didn't think much of Beauty and the East when that came up.
That's true. That is very true.
All right, guys. What?
You have to click on Audacity, so...
Oh.
Oh, we have to cut that out. DJ and Shawn, signing off.
I'm not cutting it out. I gotta edit this stupid thing.